So here we are, minding our own business and watching a Mike Hollow stream where Tom Brady is explaining how he would steer the Mortal Kombat franchise in the right direction. Something we highly recommend watching if you care about Mortal Kombat past the story mode and fatalities, when this question came up.
No projectile clash. No, it's too much for right now. Maybe
Why is that too much? I don't understand.
Man, no.
It's such a bad thing in Mortal Kombat to not have it.
Not doing it.
It just doesn't make any sense. Nobody has given me a good reason for why projectiles shouldn't clash. All the time I've been asking, it's a Mortal Kombat thing. That is not a good enough reason.
I am not doing it.
Okay, but I would like to know, what's the good reason? You can't say it's a Mortal Kombat thing. What is the good reason, the upside for allowing that to happen? If the fight was coming from here, like Black Adam's weird projectile comes at a dodgy angle, it comes up beneath you, okay, cool. Obviously they're not going to clash. But if I shoot a lightning bolt at you and you shoot laser beams and they pass through each other and then someone goes, it's still the Mortal Kombat thing, I'm just going to look at it and go, whatever, man.
Now, this isn't the first time we heard of someone bringing up this idea of changing this design choice made by Midway and honored by NRS. But it did get us talking about some of the many odd design choices made by developers that either help the fighting game form a unique identity or help the genre in some way evolve. So today, on the Runback, we're going to take a look at exactly that, while also throwing in a couple of glitches that ended up having the same effect. We're Team Crossbody, and here are several oddities and glitches that help shape fighting games' identities.
It's showtime!
Way back in 1991, Noriaka Funemizu, that guy, was playtesting Street Fighter 2 when he noticed what seemed like an engine bug. If you timed it perfectly, you could cancel the recovery animation of a normal attack by immediately inputting a special move. Instead of removing it, the team left it in because Funemizu believed the timing window was too strict for players to use consistently in a real match. Arcade players proved otherwise almost immediately. Once players discovered they could chain together attacks before an opponent recovered, the incidental cancel system evolved into the modern day combo mechanic. That single animation cancel glitch fundamentally changed fighting games forever. Nearly every major franchise that followed expanded on this, built on the idea that mastery meant linking or chaining attacks into devastating sequences. Without that discovery, the entire genre might have evolved into a completely different thing.
It's very pretty out here.
We gotta talk about one of the golden children of competitive jank, wave dashing in Super Smash Bros. Melee. And before anyone turns into that guy, yes, platform fighters are fighting games. And we here at TCB try to celebrate everything the genre brings. So dismiss them as party games all you want, but Melee is still competitively more interesting than at least 60% of the fighting games that released in the past 5 years. Okay, now that those guys downvoted and clicked away, let's get back to wave dashing. While Nintendo was trying to make a more accessible multiplayer fighter, they accidentally created a directional air dodge mechanic that completely broke the game's movement physics. If you jump and immediately air dodge diagonally downward into the ground, the physics engine will fail to completely kill your momentum. Your character will slide across the stage like they're on ice while still retaining access to their grounded options. That single discovery, along with a handful of others, transformed Melee from a chaotic party fighter into a lightning-fast competitive accession that people are still grinding more than 2 decades later. If you choose to play it that way, you don't have to.
This technical exploit completely transformed high-level execution, priority linking, better known as plinking, in Street Fighter 4. The game's input engine was programmed to prioritize stronger attack buttons over weaker ones if they were pressed one frame apart. For example, a heavy punch input will override a medium punch input during the same sequence. Players realize that by pressing the heavy button and then immediately sliding to a medium button a frame later, that the engine would effectively register the heavy input twice. That accidental quirk dramatically increased the consistency of notoriously difficult one-frame link combos, one of the defining executional barriers of Street Fighter 4's competitive play. Suddenly, techniques that once demanded near impossible precision became reliably reproducible at a tournament level. High-level execution stopped feeling like pure luck and started becoming a science. But these are examples of developer oversights or exploits that define the game or the genre. Let's look into intentionally designed oddities that helped shape a game or became the defining element of that series' identity. One of the most obvious examples that instantly comes to mind is the original Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. Before this game dropped, the law of 2D fighters was absolute. You were locked into a single flat track with your opponent. You walked forward, you walked back, you jumped, that was your world. Then SNK looked at Street Fighter 2 and basically said, that's a cute track you have there. It'd be a shame if we added another axis to it.
And they did. Fatal Fury introduced a dual-plane battle system where players could instantly shift between the foreground and background lanes. Suddenly, with a single button press, you can move your entire hurt box out of danger and into the background scenery. Today, you could probably dismiss this as the longest spot dodge in fighting game history, but at the time, this was completely absurd. Your opponent is throwing plasma in the foreground, and instead of blocking their arch trying to land a pixel-perfect jump, you just step into another lane and watch it fly past you. You could genuinely argue that this mechanic was the grandfather of 3D movement in fighting games. It completely shattered traditional spatial control and introduced the idea that movement didn't have to be confined to a single line. Or at least it would have become the future if more than like 3 games had actually used it. And one of them was just a side mode in the same franchise that invented the damn thing.
This shared innovation completely changed how players view the arena itself, turning stages from background cosmetic wallpapers into actual weapons. Early 3D fighters like Virtua Fighter took place on flat, open stages or floating rings where the only real boundary condition was a ring out. Dead or Alive experimented with environmental danger zones, making knockdowns near hazards far more threatening than most fighters at that time.
And then Tekken 4 came by and completely rewired 3D stage design by introducing physical walls and uneven terrain. Suddenly, positioning wasn't just about spacing anymore, it became a tactical nightmare. And hey, that's not saying it was good, but it was definitely different. Pinning an opponent against a concrete pillar could trigger a wall splat animation, letting you extend combos in ways previous games never allowed. Being cornered stopped being a mild disadvantage and became a full-blown death sentence where one wrong guess could cost you half your life bar. Or, in classic Tekken 4 fashion, probably lead to some kind of infinite combo the developers absolutely did not test for. This mechanic fundamentally re-engineered human psychology in fighting games, the parry system in the Street Fighter 3 series of games. Since the mid-80s, the universal law of defense in fighting games was simple. If you wanted to block an attack, you held back in the joystick, or hold the block button in Mortal Kombat's case. But blocking came with a cost. Holding back meant surrendering screen space, and against special moves, you still took damage. Capcom wanted to reward absolute, borderline psychotic execution, so they introduced a deliberate system override. To parry an attack, you had to tap forward at the exact moment of impact.
Think about the risk there. Tapping forward means actively walking your hurt box into a potentially lethal strike, sacrificing safety for a chance to create an opening. If your timing is even slightly off, you eat a full combo punish. But if you nail it, no chip damage, no block stun, and you instantly gain frame advantage for an opportunity to blow up your opponent's health bar. It completely inverted traditional defensive strategies and turned defense itself into an offensive weapon. The mechanic was so powerful and psychologically intense that Capcom spent years struggling to reintroduce anything like it in later Street Fighter games. All
of this nonsense brings us back to the subject that brought us down this rabbit hole to begin with. pass through projectiles in the Mortal Kombat series.
A lot of players assume this is just a quirk the MK developers added just to be different, but it isn't random at all. It's a core design choice that helps shape the series' identity. In most traditional 2D fighters, when two projectiles collide in the center of the screen, they cancel each other out. The fireballs clash, disappear, and neutral resets. Mortal Kombat flips that idea entirely by letting projectiles pass through one another instead of being nullified, and that single change fundamentally alters the risk-reward structure of zoning. You can't rely on fireballs to safely erase your opponent's screen control anymore, because throwing one often means you're still eating theirs. The result is a constant psychological tension. To deal damage, you often have to accept damage in return. That forces players to rethink how they approach neutral. Do you risk a jump in and potentially eat a jab anti-air? Do you crouch walk your way into range while managing chip damage? Is your projectile faster, let you win trades more efficiently? Or do the both of you just sit there trading fireballs back and forth like assholes?
And that's before even considering character-specific tools, like teleports, fast dashes, armored attacks, or high crusher normals that completely shift the matchup math. It's just a different way of doing things. I understand that in today's era, everything needs to be perfectly balanced and esports ready, but these asymmetrical rule-breaking systems are what used to make fighting games feel distinct. And honestly, I don't think Mortal Kombat would be any better if fireballs clash, any more than I think removing systems like Drive Rush from Street Fighter 6 will automatically improve it. Different systems don't make games better or worse on their own, they just change the kind of decisions you're forced to make. But what do you guys think? Are you an old enough fighting game player to remember these little glitches and oddities that made the game you played unique? Or are you fine with these little things getting patched out before they get a chance to be explored? Let us know in the comments. Drop a like and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on the Runback.